I'm gonna show you first how to do a camellia. In here we have 3 piping bags. We have peach, yellow, and white. Okay, so I would still like to say that camellia is one of the most basic flower, if not the easiest, one of the most basic. So before we do it straight onto our cake, let's try to do it first on a flower nail, so at least we get the hang of it and to give you more visual look. We're going to use a Wilton 104. Again, it's a small petal nozzle. It's like a teardrop shape with a wide end and a narrow end. Just remember that whenever you use this nozzle, the wide end always has to touch the surface of your cake or your cupcake. I'm going to pipe my guide first, just to make sure that I get a roundish flower. Now, make sure you're comfortable as well with holding your piping bag. I'm going to position it on a 20 to 30 degrees angle, something like this. Again, it should be with an angle, not completely flat or not straight. Now the wide end has to touch your guide. And I would just ask you to remember 3 tiny words: squeeze, stop, pull. Easy, right? Squeeze, stop, pull. So 20, 30 degrees, I give it one good squeeze, I stop, and then I pull. So look at that nice fan-shaped petal. So if you give it just one good squeeze, it will automatically give you a nice fan shape and you don't have to move your hand up and down. So now we have our first petal. Basically, you know the size for all the petals. So from this point, you can give a rough estimate where you're going to pipe the second petal. So I'm going to pipe it here. Again, 3 words: squeeze, stop, pull. Okay? Please mind the spacing, because if you pipe it too far out, then you will have a gap and you don't like it. If you pipe it too close, then there's a big tendency that you're going to damage the first one. So mind the gap. Or maybe we can do it in 4 words: squeeze, stop, pull, space. Okay. Now squeeze, stop, pull, and then just go all the way round. How easy is that? Now, for the last petal, we have this tiny, tiny, tiny gap. If you use the same angle of 20, 30 degrees, there's a huge chance that you're going to damage either the last one or the first one. So what you're gonna do is just change the angle slightly higher, still touching the base, and squeeze, stop, pull. Ta-da! We have a first layer. Now you're ready to pipe the second layer. Let's put it as a general rule that whenever you do another layer for a certain flower, change the angle slightly higher. So say we started 20, 30 degrees for the first one. Maybe for the second one, let's do 30, 40, just slightly higher. And then also make sure that you pipe really close to the first layer, or at least touching the petals, okay? So again, those 4 words: squeeze, stop, pull, space, touching the first layer, squeeze, stop, pull, and then just go all the way round. It's so pretty, isn't it? Now, are we ready to pipe this straight onto our cake? Yeah. So we're ready to pipe on, but before piping the flowers, I'm going to recreate a flat surface on this side. We call it a blob. So we can pipe flowers something like this. See that? On the side in between 2 tiers. So I'm gonna make sure that the size of my blob is good enough to hold my camellia. There you go. And then I'm gonna pipe my guide circle, just to make sure I get a round flower. There. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? As long as you have the round, that's fine. Now, ready? Squeeze, stop, pull, space. Start at the bottom, squeeze, stop, pull, squeeze, stop, pull, go all the way around. Look at those petals, pretty, isn't it? So again, remember, just give it one good squeeze. You don't have to move your hand up and down. And then just go all the way around. Now, imagine this cake I cannot possibly turn it upside down to pipe the rest of the flowers. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move it slightly. I'm gonna play around. Make sure you use your turntable. There you go. So we're done with the first layer. We're ready now to do the second layer. Always clean the nozzle. So we're done with 2 layers. Now, if you notice at the center, it's quite deep. And if you just pipe dots into it, you will have a hard time because there's a lot to pipe on. So what you can do, you can cover it first with a tiny blob, doesn't matter what color, and then you pipe the centers. What we wanted here would be just simple dots all around the cake. Or just a very cute variation though. You may use chocolates or candies or sprinkles and then just squeeze it in the middle. That's double treat actually. Oh, by the way, whenever you do the centers, make sure that you squeeze it really good and then you press it down before you pull away so you don't get those tiny, tiny spikes. It just looks nicer and more neat. There you go. We have our camellia.